Welcome back for another Deck Tech episode. Today we're doing the Mycotyrant from Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Shrooms.
Yes, Paul is back with the budget build. I will do a non-budget build and let's go through it. Paul will start first.
Okay. So, the Mycotyrant, the king of mushrooms, king of fungus. So, very simple. You take a look at this commander. The simplest stuff that gets out of the way is Trample. So, Trample creature wants to get really big. Method of getting big makes a lot of fungus if you can stock a lot of stuff in the graveyard while it is out.
Descending is the new mechanic.
Descending, right? We're descending, we're making fungus, and we want things to do. So we have the old Altar of Dementia. It's $4. You just use this for your big creatures. It's just going to put everything into your graveyard. You can use this in your Mycotyrant because it's only 3 mana and cast it again. And that's going to put like a whole lot of fungi on the battlefield.
Actually, we should start by saying that this budget build is $72 on Moxfield.
Yeah, $70 on Moxfield.
Yeah.
And it has not been customized the cheapest either.
Yeah.
Altar of the Wretched is one of the new cards from Lost Caverns of Ixalan's Commander deck. You're filling up your graveyard, you're drawing cards, you're having a good time. Yes, it flips. This is not particularly important. Dreadhound, because creatures entering the graveyard, you're draining people out. It mills by itself as the ETBs, so it enables like your fungus doing shenanigans. And we're running a whole lot of Dredge. Dredge 6, Dredge 4, a lot of Dredge. So for those of you who don't know, Dredge means that if you would draw a card, instead you can mill the top of your library and then you can put this card from your graveyard into your hand. From there you can cast it, sacrifice it, do it again, you'll just have a great time filling your graveyard with all these Dredge cards. Hailstorm Crota is normally not a great card, probably still not the best card here, but considering how many fungi you are trying to make, there's a very good chance you could use this, just put a whole bunch more stuff to your graveyard, and that kind of builds upon itself, creates an engine that just builds more and more fungi. Harness Infinity, because you will probably have a huge graveyard at some point, and it also puts, like, if you have a lot of permanents in your hand, you just cast this, puts a whole lot of permanents into your graveyard and enables you to build a whole board of fungi. This is just to create saplings, which is kind of what you want to do. You want to get saplings, you're going to get fungi, you make your microsynth big. Nyx Weaver, it's just mill. Rutstein is just mill. And the recurring theme you're going to see is that most of the enabling pieces here are just mill cards. So Perpetual Timepiece, Splinter Fright, Stinkweedian for the Dredge. These are all just ways to fill your graveyard in order to make saplings. What are we doing with all these things? Well, the Mycotyrant wants saplings to get big. It also has Trample, which means Death Touch potentially can get you there because people can't block a Death Touch Trampler particularly effectively. You deal 1 damage, the creature dies, excess damage spills through its combat damage, you'll probably get there. So we've got Basilisk Collar, which is the big Death Touch lifelink kind of card that's been in EDH for forever. We've got the new card from Ixalan, the Draft Common, Hunter's Bowgun. Now, it may not seem great, but it gives Death Touch on your turn, which is what you want. And I think what is actually interesting is the Reach. Reach is something that, you don't often have a lot of flying creatures and you play Golgari colors. Sure, Black gets some flying, but it's not a big thing. So Reach is actually a nice way that you can block, you can protect yourself, which is nice. And Gorgon's Hit is just Basilisk Collar at home. And to get there, we have a lot of big spells, so we want a double spell, so we just got our typical RAM package with Bramble Familiar, which also allows you to mill 7 cards, which plays into your microsynth plan. You can also use its discard ability, discard a card, you can discard a permanent, put it back to your hand that triggered it, and then after that you fetch quests, and then it just keeps going on and on. It's a 1-card engine, it's amazing, right? Commander Sphere is ramp, and it's a permanent that goes into your graveyard. Dawn Trader Elk is your Wayfarer's Bauble. Elves, because Elves is 1 mana, that's good. Milkin, because it mills and gives you mana. Mindstone, because you sack it, draws a card, fills the Descend. Steve, because Steve is a permanent.
Descend.
Skull Prophet, fills the graveyard. So recurring theme, everything fills the graveyard. Soul Ring is just Soul Ring. Bauble is Bauble. Wood Elves is just ramp. It's a permanent, it blocks something, you throw it at something, it dies, it gets in for 1 damage, whatever, right? It's fine. So we're just going to run Conduit of Worlds so that we can play lands from our graveyard, which is going to be important in fueling this Descent mechanic as well. We got a bunch of 1-card wonders that do amazing things just in and of themselves. Ballarat Recovery is just your utility piece for your, recursion because you're putting everything in. We got Death Mutation. Destroy target non-black creature, it cannot be regenerated. put X11 green sapling creature tokens onto play. So this could be like a really explosive turn whereby opponent plays some big thing. You pay your big thing, which is a removal spell, makes a whole bunch of saplings, and your Mycotyrant is going to get
8 mana though.
fantastically huge.
8 mana.
Go big or go home. Evenness is evenness because a lot of the stuff we have is like permanence. Fungal Spouting. This is according to greatest power among creatures you control. So Mycotyrant being very big and wanting saplings, it's a double whammy. It plays into itself. It's great. It's fantastic. I don't want to mill myself out, so we just got Guy's Blessing, right? Garrot, because Mycotyrant is big. You're just here for the -3. Let's face it. You just want this for the -3. Genesis, because it's always in your graveyard, and this will allow you to, as you mill, find your key pieces, bring them back, from graveyard to your hand, play them out so that you can get your engine running consistently and you won't like mill a key piece and not be able to get it back. Hogak, because you're gonna have all these like fungi sitting around. It's gonna be Hogak's gonna be in your graveyard, right? And you can use this with your Altar of Dementia to just keep a train going whereby you're sacking stuff, you're making more fungi, and then next turn you cast Hogak again and it just goes on and on and on. So this makes forests and saplings into saplings. So forests become saplings, pretty much. You get more value. Mask, because big creature wants to die. Big Mycotyrant wants to die, so this can get you a lot of cards. Molar Hulk is more for the land shenanigans that we have later. Nimada is just good stuff. Sacrifice 2 saplings, draw a card. Not particularly important, but it does its little sapling fungi thing. Overwhelming Stampede, this is the budget. This is your Cradlehoof Behemoth at home, right? Yeah. If your Mycotyrant is freaking massive and they have 1/1 fungi lying around, it's very easy to see how this just ends the game. Sapling Migration, because sure, why not? Kicker. Kicker is a good mechanic. Scatter the Seeds. Convoke, essentially is a free spell. Skull Clamp, because you have all these 1/1 sitting around, you want to draw cards, why not? It's a good card. Slimefoot. Yeah. Slimefoot.
Saplings.
Trigger abilities. The end step trigger ability that you get from Mycotyrant is a trigger ability. So you can actually use Surrounding Resonator to double the rate at which Mycotyrant grows. And this has been reprinted to hell, so it's great. Boots, because Boots. Verdant Embrace, because it's a Verdant Force effect and that grows in a 4-player game. It makes your stuff, it creates a lot of saplings really quickly. Verdant Force is the original version of that. It's here because of memory and nostalgia purposes. One does not play a sapling and fungus deck without Verdant Force. It's not done. Verdaloth, it's a sapling lord. You can get a lot of value if you just top deck this late in the game. World Shaper puts all the lands in the graveyard back into play. Big card, big play. And then we have some finishers. We have Ayara, because all the fungi that we're making are black. So if you have like a big descent turn and then you play Ayara, the end step triggers, all the black fungi come in. You're just gonna drain a whole lot of stuff really quickly. Command the Dread Horde is just good. You can just reanimate a whole bunch of things that you're putting into your graveyard. You can get a big engine going or something like that. With all the tokens that you make, you can use something like Mirkwood Bats, right? It just makes a whole bunch of tokens, drains people out. And of course, we have the ultimate in self-mill combos, Underrealm Lich together with Gitrog Monster. So whenever you sacrifice a land, you draw a card. When you draw a card, Underrealm Lich changes it to a strategic planning effect whereby you're putting cards in your graveyard, you put the land in your graveyard, Gitrog triggers again, and the chain just goes on. You could probably dump your entire deck into your graveyard and get this huge sapling fungus, not sapling, just fungus creation turn at one shot, which is pretty fun. And then we have removal, which is all in the form of permanence where we can have it. We have Cankerbloom, Caustic Caterpillar, Haywire Mite for like the typical green removal. A Morbid Bloom is I count it as removal even though it only targets a graveyard because you can stifle someone's graveyard that way, right? And that potentially makes a lot of saplings, which is great. Pile On has Convoke, potentially a free spell. Rex Sage is Rex Sage. Shriekmaw is a permanent that goes to the graveyard. Terra Sunder hits everything, it's amazing. Brontodon is another Rex Sage, but you can sack it, so it makes a sapling at the end, a fungus at the end of it, which is fun. And then you have lands. We have Argoth. We're not playing Titania, just Argoth. The idea that we want is actually to just mill cards that have bears, right? Ash Barrens, basic land cycling, puts a permanent into your graveyard, finds you a piece of color that you need. Baron Moor, all the cycling lands. We've got Demolition Field. stuff lands that go to the graveyard, Evolving Wilds, which can work with the Conduit of Worlds to constantly ensure you're getting at least one fungus per turn, right? And then you got your basics. I'm running 12 basics here. Memorial of Folly, which is used for reanimation. It's combos with the Molder Hulk. So you can return the Molder Hulk to your hand, play the Molder Hulk, which then puts the Memorial of Folly back to the battlefield, and the chain just continues. Myriad Landscape is just a fetch land ramp thingy. Stash, which is puts cards into your graveyard, and then you can just use the Conduit of Worlds to keep doing that again and again. I don't really care much about the artifact part. I just want to mill. Yeah, Swamp, Temple, the typical Terramorphic Expanse Evolving Walls deck, and yeah, more cycle lands. That's it.
So yours was 72.
Yeah.
Mine is $360.
Wow.
We always do this to kind of give you more options, more variety in terms of card choices. And I am going with a much more heavy fungus saproling build. So my first category is all the fungi. We have some new fungi. Akawali, this just cares about stuff in the graveyard, gets bigger. The Mycoid makes fungus, it's a fungus. Cankerbloom, it's a fungus, destroys stuff. Sprout mills cards and is a fungus and becomes a better fungus. Shambler, removal fungus. Molder Hulk, fungus from the graveyard.
Fungus from the graveyard.
Yeah. Mycoloth, fungus that makes saprolings. Psychotrope, fungus that sacrifices saprolings. Savage Telet, also sacrifices saprolings, makes saprolings. Slimefoot makes saprolings. Basically just making saprolings and making them bigger, sacrificing them for effects. Skullspore Nexus makes fungus, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And doubles power.
Yeah, that's actually really good for Mycotyrant.
Not a budget card, so $16 for this one. Quite expensive, but very good in Mycotyrant.
It's very good, yeah.
And that's just fungus. Now we have saprolings. So making saprolings with fungal plots, graveyard hit, fungal sprouting, same as you. This one also same as you. You had this.
Yeah.
We have the two Namatas.
Yeah.
We have parallel lives to double the token
tokens. So I'm using Strahonic Resonator. You're using parallel lives. Essentially, it's the difference here.
Saprolings Symbiosis. And then we have Dryad, which is my Lord effect. So pumps all the saprolings. This Hermit makes saprolings, also pumps my saprolings. And then I have Verdant Embrace, but not Verdant Force. Because Verdant Force is just 8 mana. I don't like it.
It's more like go wide, right? So it seems I've seen a theme that's more of a go wide strategy.
Yeah, so it's go wide, saprolings, fungus, and then Mycotyrant just incidental
value, yeah.
But to supplement that, we have a mill package as well. So Altar of Dementia, mill stuff, sack stuff, Descend, Blight Titan, mills, incubates as well, and could incubate quite big. Bramble Familiar, because like you said, one card engine. Breach, it's pretty much a one card wonder, but mills as well. Cemetery Tempering, mills cards, plays cards for free. I like it because it triggers.
It's good. It's very easy to trigger this hideaway effect. It's very easy to get it. Yeah.
Then we have Dead Bridge Chant, mills one time, but then we get stuff back from the field, from the graveyard. Hermit Druid here, pretty good, I think. Yeah,
this is like dump half your deck into your graveyard or more. Right?
But we are running about 13 basics.
Okay.
So you know, it's fine. It's fine. Karga, I like this one a lot because you mill cards and you get to play cards from the graveyard. So if you mill a lot of things, like 5 cards, you can just choose one and play them. Millikin, ramp and mill. Next Weaver, mill.
Same shit.
Redstein. Get stuff from milling. Out of the Tombs from 40k. So it's kind of like a Cemetery Tempering, I think. And it also stops us from losing the game if we draw a card with no library. Perpetual Timepiece, you had this. Skull Prophet. So Conrad.
So Conrad's good.
You had the dog, the demon dog.
I'm using the Dreadhound.
Yeah, so I have Sir Conrad. And then Mending, also to kind of prevent us from milling ourselves to death. Then we have graveyard stuff, because things are going to be in the graveyard, we want to get them back out. Aghanim's Awakening, Balaget, Conduit, Crucible. Dread Return is interesting because you can sacrifice the saprolings and bring stuff back. Matzalanti, new one. You can draw and discard, which helps with the descent.
It helps with the descent,
And then when it transforms, it adds mana when the number of permanent cards in our graveyard.
Oh, that's really powerful.
Yeah, so this is
that's a really powerful card.
Then we have Path of Discovery, which puts stuff in the graveyard, and with all the tokens we're making,
everything explores.
It's just gonna explore.
It's really good.
And then we can sack stuff to bring things back. Also removal. Same as you, we're running Git Rock and Underrealm Lich for the mill package. And then I like Timeless Witness because if it's in the graveyard from milling, we can eternalize it.
Two cards in one.
Yeah. Victimize and Whisper are here to sacrifice our things and get a better thing back.
Yeah.
That's what they're for. Then, my favorite section, we are making everything into fungi.
Everything has to be a fungus.
Yes. So,
Right.
all saplings.
Yeah.
Marswood Nexus makes it both. So it's a fungi sapling. So these two cards, I think, are the core pieces for this typo or kindred deck. We can't say tribal anymore, but sapling fungus deck. And then we also have kind of a Voltron backup. Commander's Plate, protect the commander, Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, Mithril Coat, protecting the commander, Malakar Rebirth, Golgari Charm, protecting but also kind of a flexible removal piece.
Yeah, Golgari Charm is a very, very good card. Very underrated, very good card.
Then we have some removal, better removal because non-budget. Beast Within, Putrefy, and Tear Asunder. And yeah, that's basically it. The land package is quite similar. We have card draw, we have the sacrifice
Just better
lands.
utility lands.
Yeah, better utility lands,
utility
sacrifice lands, memorial, nurturing peatland, fraction tower.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an expensive piece. Then I like Restless Cottage.
Oh, Cottage is a good card.
Cottage is pretty good because you get food token and you get graveyard hit.
Yeah.
So Tomb Fortress, I guess, is the last one that's worth pointing out because you mill cards and you return something.
Yeah.
But that's basically the deck. $360 to play mushrooms.
Yeah.